Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. This Monday Motivation is actually being filmed live in the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group, which is its new home for now, anyway. But you know what? This subject, or the topic I'm going to speak about today, I wanted to share this further afield. So provided this is nice and short, sharp and sweet, you'll definitely see it on my YouTube channel. And if you're part of my LinkedIn connections, you'll see it there as well, if not a link over to YouTube. But you're more than welcome to join the Facebook group too. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about Monday motivational kind of mood enhancers. So let's start by saying that for many people it's been a tough time. The last 18 months has been tough. And I've been sensing this amongst peers, amongst friends, amongst my groups, amongst my online connections and offline connections as well. And I decided to ask you, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling really? Because I know that through a few times in my life, especially the tougher times, people will kind of say, hi, how are you doing? And it can be surface level. And I remember one particular time, like over 10 years ago now, but I remember one particular time I was really going through, a bereavement, a really sad bereavement. And I remember a handful of people, 3 people out of all the people I was connected with, that actually asked me a variation of this question in this way: how are you doing, really? And they wanted to hear the true answer, and they could take it. So I asked this question over the weekend, and many of you came back and expressed what a tough time you've been having. And there's an admission here. I've had a lot of spinning plates in the last couple of weeks. And whilst life always kind of seems busy, running a business, running a home, all of those kinds of things, I felt a little bit like I had escaped the batterings of the storm, if you like. You know that expression, we might not all be in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm. And, I felt really lucky, privileged, grateful, appreciative that the last 18 months, as tough as they've been for a lot of people on the planet, I somehow seem to escape. Now, this feeling isn't too dissimilar to the feeling that many employees feel when their colleagues get made redundant. So, the last 18 months, people would have had this survivor syndrome feeling, which I definitely, it feels like, to me, it wasn't quite guilt, but it's similar to feeling guilty for actually being okay. So what I do want to say is, if you're going through a bad time at the moment and you're not doing okay, it's okay to share. And if you're not going through a bad time, everything's going well and rosy, it's okay to say that too. There's no guilting or shame either way. I genuinely ask this question because I genuinely want to check in to see how people are doing. And as my friendships grow, my connections grow, my audience grows, I don't always have the capacity to literally pick up the phone and phone as many people on an individual basis as I would like to. So I was thinking about this, and particularly yesterday when I was hearing from friends and seeing some of the stuff that you're going through. And it might feel like you have a monkey on your shoulder. Yes, the Tetley teabag monkey who looks like he's looking up, now looking at you. It might feel like you have a monkey on your shoulder, a monkey on your back even. So I went through a couple of the things that I've been discussing with friends recently, and some of the things that have been really helpful for me when I kind of like hit a plateau or something that is less favourable than I'd want to feel, let's face it. And I thought I would share them. I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 3 things, but I'm sure there might be more. So here's the first thing. The first thing is to really, truly acknowledge where you are. I kind of alluded to this a second ago. Acknowledge where you are. Acknowledge if you're not feeling great. It's okay, even if you work in spiritual, personal, professional development. It's okay to say that, you know what, I'm not doing okay. And of course, if there's someone close to you that you can reach out to and say that to them, that's okay too. Interestingly, throughout these times, I've had like a handful of close friends do this. And one of my accountability buddies did this recently, and I really respected that because it gives them a space to say I'm not doing okay, and gave me the space to say I'm here, can I call you? And we were able to, I say talk it out, they were able to talk and I was able to listen, which they said was hugely beneficial to them. And the reason that I mention this is because people often think of friends and, business and pleasure, kind of east is east, west is west, never the twain shall meet. And that's not always the case. So, sometimes the compartmentalisation of the work, personal stuff, sometimes they meld together. And especially if you are self-employed in some way, freelancer, consultant, business owner who runs a business owning person, sometimes it can feel really lonely when the what hits the fan, So having people that you can speak about, specifically with business stuff, is helpful. Family and friends don't always understand the roller coaster that can be too many clients, not enough clients, making money, not making money, how to handle it, how to deal with requests, difficult conversations in business that are very different to personal relationships, professional relationships, friendships. So acknowledge where you are, number one. Acknowledge, I'm actually going to write down the specific words that I'm saying because I do this without notes, literally a few words, but I want to be better at recapping at the end of this video. So acknowledge where you are. Second thing is give yourself time and space. This is so important. So many people are going through so much stuff and they're still pushing and striving and pulling and tugging and having a bit of a rest, but I'm doing the stuff. And sometimes that's not the best way. And I'm going to come back to that in a bit. But give yourself time. And by this, I actually mean set the timer on your watch, on your phone, on your salt mill, on your sand, by the sun and the sundial, whatever it is. Or if you're one of these people that's really great with time and saying 10 minutes in my head and you can do that. I envy you, but you do that, Set yourself 10 to 15 minutes at least, 10 to 15 minutes of you time. So if you're a busy mum, this might involve going to the loo and locking the door and being in the loo for like 10-15 minutes where you get some downtime. It could be sitting in a bath while you do this, although I highly recommend you have pen and paper when you do this. It could mean if you're commuting, you're sitting on a train, maybe in the car, maybe you're stuck in traffic. It could even be that you are on your way to, say, the gym or something like that, any time where you can make for yourself, create it for yourself. But if you're still under the cosh and you feel like you don't have time, maybe you're dealing with sick relatives, maybe you're going to hospitals or something like that, there will be time in between. So now you've set the time for 10 to 15 minutes. Here's what I'd love you to do. Grab pen and paper. Doesn't have to be a fancy notebook, but it makes it better. It could be a scrap of paper, it could be the back of an envelope, it could be anything. And when you do that, the third thing that I'm going to get you to do is to think back to as many good times as you can. It's interesting. I have conversations where some people are able to access this really quickly and some people just aren't. And sometimes the thing that can make the difference depends on how you're feeling at that moment in time. So, recently I was talking to a friend of mine who's been going through a really tough time. Yet when I said, oh, can you remember such and such? Instantly we were both like, oh yeah. And we kind of went into this piece. It really, people say thoughts become things and all of that. But what I'm saying is we do have the ability, even when we're in a dark place, to be able just to change our thoughts very quickly. I experienced this when I was going through my grief journey of sometimes waking up feeling elated, sometimes waking up feeling really bad, and then maybe hearing a song, finding myself singing and dancing, and then almost like remembering, oh, am I supposed to feel happy like this? But in a split second, our thoughts can change. So knowing that, think back to as many good times as possible. But the reason that I'm saying don't just think it, have pen and paper, is write it down. Because when you write it down and you go through that exercise of doing that for 10 to 15 minutes, you will literally change your state of mind. Even if it's for those 10 to 15 minutes, you'll literally change your state of mind, flood yourself with some endorphins. And this will like cut you a break in the things that you're going through. Okay, this is not about burying your head in the sand. This is about cutting yourself some slack. So as you remember them, write them down, put them on a list. I prefer the pen or pencil and paper approach to this, even though I do a gazillion things on notes on my phone. If you want to then keep that for posterity, which I highly recommend you do, you can either use a transcribing app, or if you've got Siri. All other brands, of course, are available too. You can speak what you've written down, kind of bullet points, back into your phone and capture it there. Even say it on a video, which no one ever needs to watch, but you can capture them there. And the reason for this is any time that you're feeling a bit less than and you feel like you need a pick-me-up, people often turn to memes and positive motivational videos, which help. But when they're your own things that are great for you, it will pick you up like that. It will give you a boost like that instantly. So that's the next thing to do. And then the next thing I would say is, once you've done that list, think about what do you really need right now? And what you sometimes need, and this kind of goes into the setting time for yourself piece as well, but what do you really need right now? What do you really want right now? Is it that you want to do things differently? Is it that you need to think of how you're going to change something? And maybe you're worried or scared about that change, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But think about what you want. Now, when you start to think about what you want, it's like you can create your own vision. You can create your own thing. And this is important. It needs to be yours. This is not a time to turn to a friend or person next to you and say, what do you think it should be? This needs to come from you. Even if it doesn't seem possible or doable, even if current circumstances seem to be showing otherwise, this is something like a vision list, a dream list. When you write the stuff down and start to have that for yourself. Again, a notebook is great, or you can put it in a phone or something like that. And then what I did with my friend recently, we were talking about some stuff that's been going on for both of us, really. And we looked at, what is it that we can do right now to help kind of change the way we're thinking about it, change our state of mind almost, change our state. And one of the things that ranks highly on my list, but might not on yours, is music. I am an old school dance girl, so all I have to do is look at a track list that I've already built privately for me. I have that list and I can just go in and listen to that music. And actually, we were in a public place and I played a bit of this music and we were like, we love this so much. And in that moment, we weren't worried, we weren't struggling, we weren't concerned, we weren't, oh my gosh, I wish this could happen. In that moment, it's like we felt free, and that, thank goodness for dance music, was 6 minutes, so it was nice and long, and some of them can be longer, but it just is able to transform. Now, if music's not your thing, other things you might want to do, especially if you're quite empathic and you pick up a lot on other people's feelings, spending time in nature. That could be woods and trees, parks, that could be the beach, anywhere where you kind of have a resonance with nature, you can do that. One of my clients does this thing. I talk about grounding, but this goes even further. She does this thing where she, all throughout the year, will go outside and, take her shoes off and just have her feet touch the bare earth. She calls it earthing. This is a really great practice, especially if you are very nature oriented and like that connection with nature. So if you're wondering, oh my gosh, who is that? What does she do? Then contact me and I'll let you know who that is. So it could be, any part of nature might be the thing that you need or want. The other thing could be sleep. Maybe the thing that you actually need right now is sleep. And maybe if you're not sleeping very consistently at night, you might need to build in time throughout the day for naps. This is especially normalised if you're unwell. But actually, you don't have to be unwell to normalise having sleeps in the day. If your energy is down, if you need that kind of switch off, if you're grabbing time, and many new mums and dads will know this, grabbing sleep when you can. It's important. If it's important for you, then definitely do that. Meditation's another one. For some people, that's the thing that they'll want to do, be driven to do. So it could be meditation. So if meditation's your thing, you can meditate from as like a shorter time as 5 minutes to an hour or so. I found sometimes if I meditate for over an hour, I feel a bit kind of blissed out and a bit woo, but for you it could be something else. And the other thing is to create. Now this sounds like a strange thing to do. Now you entrepreneurial minded folk, take caution. When I talk about creation, I'm not talking about creating new content. I'm talking about doing something almost crafty and creative. And I know that some of you in the Vibes Tribe, that is your business, everyday business as usual, which is another reason from a visibility perspective for you to regularly talk about this. If you're not talking about this on a weekly basis, people won't even realise that you might be able to help them with that. So I know that many of you are creatives, are artists, you do stuff around like jewellery, you're very, very creative, musicians, authors, poetry and different things like that. So if you do something, create something that you might not have done, and one of the things that I actually do, many of you may or may not know this, as a qualified chef, believe it or not, I had a keen interest in sugarcraft and chocolate making. In fact, at the very start of my business, I did both training and coaching, chocolate making and cake making. And one of the things I love, as well as nature actually, is emulating flowers through sugarcraft, almost like sugar art. So as I speak to you, I've got some tools over there, which I was thinking of giving away, but actually I'm going to keep, and I'm going to dip back more into that. That for me is really great fun. Things to do at weekends that aren't work. I can switch off, I can be creative. Allow your mind to be creative. Get an adult colouring book if that's your thing. Maybe take up some sort of imaginative writing, poetry. Again, I've got another client who is really great with transformation, personal development, and is a poet, is a published author, multiple published author. So again, if you feel like you need some help in that, by all means, let me know and I will point you in their direction. So those are some of the things to do. These are great self-motivational tools and should only be used for you to do you. Okay, don't do it because I'm telling you to do it. Do it and pick the things that are right for you. So point number 1, acknowledge where you are. Point number 2, set yourself some time apart, 10 to 15 minutes as a minimum. Number 3, think back to great times or good times or things that have been, really great for you. Number 4, and record them. I guess number 4, record them, actually write them down somewhere. And number 5, do something that lights you up, whether it's music, nature, meditation, sleep, creation, or something else. Do something like that. The thing that I would say on there is not to do is don't do the thing that can become something like sort of dependency. So like going to the gym and stuff like that is great. Exercise is great. One that I didn't actually mention on there. Running, another great one. But, turning to drugs or alcohol, of course, is somewhere along the line you'll realise its effect. It might feel very like an anaesthetist like very kind of anaesthetising to you now, but later on it will cause problems. And that seems obvious, but some people say, you know what, I'm not really a drinker, but I'm going to drink, you know, and a lot of people did that through lockdown, and then had a bit of a problem towards the end of that. So do something that feeds your soul, something for you, and maybe a couple of those things for you. But more importantly, keep checking in with yourself, keep going gently with yourself. And, you know, the obvious thing that people don't do is never be afraid to ask. And that's the reason why the Vibe Tribe's there. It's for those of you that know that you want to be even more visible, want more people to know about what you do, and want to be more comfortable and confident to put yourself out there. Some of you say you need a kick up the backside. I'm in this group for the kick up the backside. So consider this your sign, your kick up the backside, or anything else. But, you know, really reach out. It's okay to put posts in here to say, you know what, I'm not doing well, because there's so many different people with skill sets in that group. And it's okay to say, do you know what, I'm doing great as well. And if that's you, share the encouragement, because that's what stopped me from kind of feeling a bit some way about it. When I was doing great, I'm happy to share that, and to share the encouragement that I know that will have people know there's light at the end of the tunnel, things are going to be different, they don't always have to look the same. So that's it for now. Let me know which of these you'll be trying, and if there are any that you have yourself to get that monkey off your back, then do share them wherever you're watching this in the comments below. You will always help other people by doing that. What's helpful for you is likely helpful for someone else. And if you're stuck with, well, I don't know what to do, then have a look at some of the things that people are suggesting underneath here. That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Happy Monday.